Okay, here is a video on how to find the least common multiple and the greatest common factor on the GED math test. All right, so I'm going to do a side-by-side comparison between the least common multiple and the greatest common factor. And I have the definitions up there, but oftentimes the definitions are quite confusing. And I also want to say at the start here that I'm going to teach this maybe in a way different than what you've learned previously. And I do it because it might not be the quickest way, but it's going to be the way that I think is the easiest to understand and hopefully be able to have you get the answer. So the least common multiple is the lowest common number that two or more numbers equally divide into. And so when you hear the word multiple, you want to find multiples. So you want to think of your times tables or counting by like a multiple of 2, a multiple of 3. So if you have a problem that says, what is the least common multiple of 4 and 6? What you're going to do is count by those numbers. So you've got here multiples of 4. So 4 times 8 times 12 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32. Multiples of 6, 6, 12, 18, 24, just counting by sixes, okay, and counting by fours. If you can use a calculator, then you could do 1 times 4, 2 times 4, 3 times 4, and so on. But often on the GED, these type of questions come up when you cannot use a calculator. And so you really just, hopefully you can use your fingers or you can use tally marks if you don't know your times tables. But this would be a way to sort of check your work, okay? And so now we want to find the number that is common of these two lists. So here's 12 is common and 24 is common. And we want the least or the lowest number. Sometimes it's called the lowest common denominator, least or lowest, same thing, right? And you'll see here it is 12, which would be our answer. Now, over here we have the greatest common factor. And so this would be the largest number that equally divides into 2 or more different numbers. And so when you hear the word factor, you want to remember that factors are the things that get multiplied. And so when you take a factor times a factor, it equals a product. And so this is where I teach this slightly different than probably how you've learned it in the past. So for example, what if the question is, what is the greatest common factor of 36 and 48? Okay. So here's how I teach this. You're going to make lists of 36 and 48. Let's do 36 first. And you want to come up with all the ways that you can multiply numbers together to get 36. So you could take 1 times 36, 2 times 18, 3 times 12, 4 times 9. 5 doesn't work. And then 6 times 6. 7 doesn't work, 8 doesn't work, and then 9 is here. So you kind of start in this direction, then you start working your way back, but we've already counted these ones, okay? And so these are all the factors. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 factors of 36, okay? And the reason why I do this is it's kind of, when you start counting, starting with 1, and you go 1, 2, 3, 4, and you keep going down, this way it's like a check to you. Like, does 5 go in? Does 7 go in? Does 8 go in? And that way you won't miss any of the main factors, okay? So let's look at 48. Do the same thing. We're going to take 1 times 48. 2 times 24 will equal 48. 3 times 16 equals 48. 4 times 12. 5 won't work. 6 will work. 6 times 8 is 48. 7 won't work. And 8 is right here. And so you know you've gone as far as you can go. All right. And so now we want to find the greatest common factor. So if we look, you can see we've got 6. 6 is a common factor. We have 12. 12 is a common factor. And it looks like that is going to be the largest one, okay? Certainly you've got 1, 2, 3, and 4 here as well, but we want the greatest common factor, and that's why the answer is going to be 12. So this is if you can use a calculator, this becomes easier, because if you don't know your times tables, you can just put these in the calculator. If you don't know your times table and you can't use a calculator, again, you can try to do some tally marks or count on your fingers. And so let's do some other examples to see how you might tackle these questions. All right, so I put these in word problem format. So it says the family is getting ready to make Halloween candy bags. They have 27 lollipops and 81 bars and want each bag to have at least one kind of each candy. They want to make as many bags as possible and be sure each bag has the same number of items, and they need to use all of the candy. All right, so when you get a question like this, you want to be able to think in your head, is this a least common multiple problem or a greatest common factor problem? All right, and often this is the hardest thing. And so what you want to look for is words in here that are going to tell you whether or not you're finding the least, the lowest number, or the greatest number. And so it says here they want to make as many bags as possible. Not as few, but as many. And so the fact that it's as many as possible tells us we want to do the greatest common factor. And when you hear factors, you want to think multiply the numbers. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to make lists here. Let's make a list of 27, and we'll make a list of 81. All right, and so let's start here. We can do 1 times 27. 2 doesn't go in equally. 3 times 9. 4 doesn't go. 5 doesn't go. 6 doesn't go. 7 doesn't go. 8 doesn't go. And 9 is right here. All right, so those are it. Those are the only 4 factors of 27. Let's do 81. You can do 1 times 81. 2 doesn't go in equally. 3, well, let's think. All right, so if you don't know, let's say you can't use a calculator here, what you can do is divide. How many times does 3 go into 81? Well, 3 goes into 8. It almost goes 3 times. 3 times 3 is 9, right? But not quite. So we have to put a 2 here, and we'll make this a 6. And then we subtract this 6 from this 8, and this becomes 21. We're going to drop down this 1 to get 21. Sorry, I might have done that a little too fast. So 6 from 8 is 2, and then you drop down this 1 to get 21. 3 goes into 21 7 times. So 3 times 27, okay, is 81. 4 doesn't fit, 5 doesn't fit, 6 doesn't fit, 7 doesn't fit, 8 doesn't fit, and then 9 times 9 fits, okay? So these are the common multiples of, or the common factors, I should say, of 81. So what is the greatest one? So you can see 9 as a potential answer, but there's also 27. And this is one of the main reasons why I have students start with 1 times the number, because in this case, 1 times 27 allows it to be the greatest common factor. So if we answer these questions over here now, and any of these could be potential questions on the GED, how many bags can the family make? Well, they can make 27 total bags. That'll be the greatest number of bags that they could make. And so how many of each kind of candy will be in each bag? Notice we have 27 lollipops and 81 bars of some sort. So if we focus here, the lollipops, each bag will contain 1. And that's because, let me change my color over here to red. And you can see this is why 1 times 27, why we will have 21 lollipop in each of the 27 bags. And so how many bars will we have in each bag? Well, you're going to see the answer is 3 because of that. So bars are 3. So very common GED type question, and hopefully a manageable process for you. So let's do another one. So Maria and Nadia are walking around the track. Maria does a lap in 6 minutes and Nadia walks a lap in 8 minutes. They both start walking at the same time. How many minutes will pass until they both cross the start-finish line together? And so, again, when you get problems like this, the first thing that students are confused with is they don't know, is it the least common multiple or is it the greatest common factor? All right. And so, again, the first thing I always encourage students to do is figure out, are there words here that tell you the least or words here that tell you the greatest? And it's not really clear in this problem, and at least there isn't like one exact word, but if you read this sentence again, how many minutes will pass until they cross the start-finish line together? What's implied is like how many minutes will pass until they cross it together again? If that were the greatest number, it would be like, I don't even know how you would ask it. So really what we want is the next time or again, and that's going to be the least common multiple. So we've got 6 and 8, and what we're going to do is come up with multiples of 6 and 8. And so you can do 6 and then 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, and that's probably about as far as you need to go. If we go in and we start counting by 8s, we got 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, 48. Actually, let me do one more, 42, and then 48. Okay, so if these two people, Maria and Nadia, start walking at the same time, they will cross again the finish line at the exact same time after 24 minutes. And then they will cross again after 48 minutes. All right. And that's because in this case, Nadia is walking a little bit slower. So you can see Maria will have walked 4 laps. 1, 2, 3, 4 laps. Okay. And Nadia will have only walked 3 laps. All right. And so these are some of the type of questions they can ask you on the GED. But how many minutes will pass to answer the question here? It will be 24. All right. 24 would be the answer to this question. That will mean, again, Maria's done 4 laps and Nadia's done 3 laps. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like this video if you found it valuable and subscribe if you would like to see more videos like these. Visit the link below to passtheged.org to see more videos and learning opportunities that will help you get the highest passing score on the GED. And good luck.